Okay, so in this video, we are moving on from one-step addition and subtraction inequalities into one-step multiplication and division inequalities. And a lot of these properties are going to be the same from when we solved one-step equations. There is one trick that is different when we get to negative numbers, but I'll talk you through that. Just because of the flipping pages that it requires on the computer, I wrote out got it A and B on my screen right here. So you are in your books on page 506 doing A and B with me. So, first one, I got an A. We're going to draw our line like we have been. Since 4 and x are multiplied, the opposite operation is division, so I divide by the number that's with the variable. What you do to one side, you always do to the other. This gives me x is less than 40 divided by 4 is 10. That's my answer. Okay, on B, I have 6 is greater than or equal to x divided by 7. Since x and 7 are division, I do the opposite, which is multiplication. What you do to one side, you always do to the other. This gives me x. My symbol stays the same. 6 times 7 is 42. I don't like it when the number comes first, so I'm going to rewrite the answer as x. If the alligator is eating 42 here, when I rewrite it, I need to make sure that it eats 42 here. Otherwise, it changes your answer. So, that's what I'm going to say is your final answer. These two are actually the exact same. I just like it when the variable comes first because it's easier for me to interpret. The other way is not wrong. It's just easier when we get into the deeper level of understanding. Okay, the other problems that I want to do with you are in your book on page 508, number 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is where it becomes a little bit different when we talk about inequalities than equations. On number 1, we have negative 3n is less than or equal to negative 22. So I still draw my line, and I do the opposite operation. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I'm going to divide by negative 3, which you do one side, you always do the other. Now, since I divided by a negative number, my inequality sign switches. So I flipped it. And then I just do negative 22 divided by negative 3, and that gives me a positive 7 3/10 repeating. So again, I'm going to say this. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, your inequality sign switches. On number 2, I draw my line. I have t divided by negative 4 is less than negative 11. So t and negative 4 are divided, so I do the opposite operation. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. What you do to one side, you do to the other. T, I multiplied by a negative number, so my sign is going to switch. And then a negative 11 times a negative 4 is a positive 44. I would explain it if we were in class in more detail and kind of show you the meaning behind all of the switching of the signs, but I don't want to confuse you or overwhelm you, so I'm just going to tell you the rule for now, that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, switch your sign. All right, number 3. At a baseball game, you can get a single hot dog for $2. You have $10 to spend, write, and solve an inequality to find the number of hot dogs you can buy, and then interpret the meaning. Okay, so we have a hot dog for $2, we have $10, and we're writing an inequality. So we can have 2 times the number of hot dogs. We don't know how many we're going to buy, so let's call it n. Then we could spend $10, but we don't have to spend all of it. We could spend less than that. So that's going to be my sign, less than or equal to 10. To solve the inequality, I do the opposite operation. The opposite of multiplying is dividing. So I divide by 2, divide by 2, and since I divided by a positive number, my sign is going to stay the same. N is less than or equal to 5. So then, if I was interpreting this solution, I would say I could buy 5 or less hot dogs. Because if I bought 6, I don't have enough money. And that's how you interpret your solution. All right, and the last one is number 4. Explain when you should reverse the inequality symbol when solving an inequality. So reverse in their terms is switch for mine. So you switch the symbol when you multiply or divide by a negative number. All right, so make sure that you check the choice board and complete the assignment. Take a picture and submit it to Google Classroom.